These people literally stretched their own skulls. Back in the 1500s, the Incas practiced something called cranial deformation. They would wrap string tightly around the newborn's head so that their heads would stretch as they grew. This would cause them to have cone-shaped heads like the one seen here. And during these times, it wasn't considered a bad thing. This was considered a symbol of beauty according to their tribe.
This would be their last selfie before being struck by a train. In October of 2011, 15-year-old Essa Ricker, Kelsey Webster, and 13-year-old Savannah Webster waved at a westbound train crew as they were taking a selfie. As the three took the photo standing on the tracks, they had no idea that there was a train coming right at them. After they took their photo, they decided to post it on Facebook, and they captioned it saying, "Standing right by a train, ahaha, this is awesome." They were so preoccupied with the train track selfie that they had no idea that the train was literally right behind them. The conductor on the train, John Anderson, stated that the girls looked like they were completely in their own world. The engineer on the train blasted a horn to get the girls' attention, but they were oblivious and did not even flinch. Trains travel at 55 miles per hour, and they require more than a mile to come to a halt, and this is even after emergency brakes are applied. Once the train had gotten closer to the girls, it was approximately at 39 miles per hour. The train conductor and engineer tried to shout at the girls, but nothing worked. They observed the girls for about 12 seconds before they vanished from their view. About a quarter mile down, the train came to a halt, and John ran back to the girls. The first girl he saw showed no signs of life, and the second girl he saw had succumbed to the accident. John had located 13-year-old Savannah near the railroad crossing. She was injured and distressed, but she was still breathing. She was sent to a hospital in Salt Lake City, and doctors discovered that she had over a dozen broken bones, internally bleeding, blood clots, and a severe brain injury. Despite efforts to save her, she tragically passed away 3 days later after the incident.
Skinwalker caught on camera.
Yo.
Whoa.
Where you go?
Whoa. Run, 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 run.
Go, 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 go. What the hell? Inside. Close it, close it.
I did. Oh my gosh. He's going to the basement.
You gotta lock it. You gotta lock it now. Come on. Up. Oh shit! Oh my god!
Yep, this doomsday clock is about to strike in 90 seconds, and when it hits midnight, that means civilization has reached its end, and it's our fault. Citizens were terrified to hear that our doomsday clock, created by a group of scientists led by Albert Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer, has just reached its end. In January 2023, during a haunting presentation, scientists unveiled the shocking state of the clock, and it was very bad. The 12-hour clock is not a normal clock, but was created to represent threat levels and how long until humanity destroys the world, midnight being the end. The clock has mostly remained hours away from midnight through history, even through many wars. But in 2020, with the onset of the pandemic, people were shocked when it was moved to 100 seconds. But now, only 3 years later in 2023, we are at 90 seconds, making it the closest it's ever been in recorded history. With the rise of deadly wars and mutant diseases, the climate crisis, and the rise of nuclear weapons all in 1 year, scientists are terrified, saying to brace for impact in 2024, as it may be the end of humanity as we know it. Given the state of the world this year, do you think it will be less than 60 seconds?
I really do believe some people can be evil up to the point where they were even probably kids, y'all. This is the case of 4-year-old Derek Robbie. This happened in the 90s, and he was actually just walking to summer camp. His mom let him go by himself. I believe it was like 1 block away, and she let him walk there by himself for the very first time that day. Now, unfortunately, he did not make it to summer camp, and his remains were found in the nearby woods in between his house and the summer camp he was going to. Now, when they found his remains, they said that it appeared that he had been beaten with rocks and strangled, and that he had Kool-Aid poured all over his body. And unfortunately, he had also been SA'd with a stick. Now, when all this happened, they had brought this 13-year-old in for questioning because he had been acting very strange and going around and asking people very bizarre questions, such as how long, does it take for them to collect DNA evidence, and what if they find out that the unaliver was a kid? And also, when he was offered Kool-Aid during the interrogation process, he threw it all over the floor. He eventually ended up confessing to unaliving this poor 4-year-old baby because he had been being bullied by other kids at school, and he was very angry about this and wanted to let out his anger on someone else. Now, this is him now, and he actually has been released from prison since all this is happening just recently and let back into society. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it, but rest in peace to this poor baby.
She took the life of her husband after she found out that he was actually born a woman. In February of 2002, Elizabeth Radowski met Angelo Headington, and Elizabeth was working as a salesman, and she went to the farm where Angelo was working. The two instantly hit it off, and they started a romantic relationship. About 3 months later, they ended up getting married, but the relationship quickly turned into one with anger, rage, and violence. 3 months into their marriage, Angelo viciously attacked Elizabeth, and this is what caused her to fatally stab Angelo in self-defense. When paramedics were called to the scene, they were checking out Angelo's body, trying to stop the bleeding, and that's when they noticed that his private area was actually a prosthetic, and he was born as a woman named Angela. Elizabeth stated that Angelo told her that his ex had burned his genitals in a fit of rage, so when they were intimate, it was always dark with the lights off, and she never saw him take off his clothes in front of her. Elizabeth was arrested on second-degree murder charges after Angelo had died in the hospital. Elizabeth told authorities that Angelo had attacked her and she had no other choice but to defend herself. The charges against Elizabeth ended up being dropped, and the grand jury determined that she did act in self-defense.
Craziest coincidences in history. This is Mary Ashford, and this is Barbara Forrest. Each of these women were strangled to death, and their bodies were found just 300 yards away from each other. They were both 20 years old at the time of their killings, and they shared the same birthday. On the night of their killings, both women had just got done visiting a friend, went home, changed into a new dress, and then had gone to a dance. And at this dance, they would both meet their eventual killers, who were both named Thorne. This is Abraham Thorne, the man who is presumed to have killed Mary Ashford. And this is Michael Thorne, the man who was presumed to have killed Barbara Forrest. Both these killings happened on May 27th. Mary Ashford died on May 27, 1817, and Barbara Forrest died on May 27, 1974, exactly 157 years after Mary Ashford. For more.
Conspiracy Theories Part 2. This one's really creepy. Alright guys, so you guys know how everyone said the world was going to end in 2012? What if it actually did and we're just all living in hell? Because I feel like everything in our world has just gotten progressively worse since then. Just something to think about.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The iPhone theory. An I in iPhone stands for I. It is also secretly listening to your conversation. conversations. What does Siri spell backwards? Siri backwards spells iris. And if you look at the Apple logo closely, it represents the first sin.
Disney just got completely exposed. Okay, so we all know how Disney is known for all their classic movies. Well, what if I told you every single one of these movies is a copy and paste of another one? Disney literally recycles animation from other movies, and then change little things like characters and
Let me get a pair of twins. All right. They're born the same time, they're the same age. And now one of them I will send off at 90% the speed of light. And the other I'll keep down here on Earth. So we can ask, how do their aging rates compare? Okay? Turns out, this twin that I've already sent, his clock ticks 44% as fast as this twin's clock, our clock, here on Earth. So, this twin is aging more slowly than this one. That's at 90% the speed of light. Let's pump it up some more. How about 99% the speed of light? Now the time ticks at only 14% the rate, as it does back here on Earth. How about 99.9%? We're getting closer and closer to the speed of light itself. And at that speed, the clock ticks only 4.5% as fast. So, what does this mean? Tell you what it means. This twin that traveled for 5 years and comes back, if they went at 99.9% the speed of light, after 5 years, they're 5 years older. We have aged 110 years. It's called the twin paradox.
This isn't an animal video, but I feel like not enough people know this, and I honestly have nothing better to do. So I was going back and forth with one of my friends, and we were insulting each other the way only real friends can. Like, she would say, at least I got 2 functional knees, so I said, at least I got 2 functional parents. You know, cute stuff like that. And she was like, at least my nipples work. I could not tell you where that flex came from, but fun fact. Men actually can produce milk, and it happens more often than you think. Men's nipples are fully functional, it's just that they get suppressed by male hormones. And the hormone responsible for making milk is prolactin, and the production of prolactin is controlled by dopamine and estrogen. Basically, these hormones send a message to the pituitary gland and tell it to either stop or continue releasing prolactin. But sometimes a hormone malfunction can cause men to lactate. The weirdest example I can think of is back in World War II. When prisoners of war ate a full meal after being starved for months, their hormones shot up faster than their liver could keep up with, causing them to spontaneously lactate. Also, if your pituitary gland forgets that it's not supposed to release prolactin, you can end up dripping Nesquik too. In really rare cases, nipple stimulation while holding a baby was enough to cause lactation in some men. But also there's a chance it means you have a tumor. So yeah, men can produce milk, and I can't produce a healthy way to explain my
Here's some of the biggest movie mistakes you never noticed. In the movie American Sniper, in this scene, they replaced the baby with a literal doll. And if you look closely, you'll see Bradley Cooper moving the doll's hand with his thumb to make it appear more real. But that doll isn't fooling anyone. Next, in Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets, in this scene where Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy battle, if you look closely, you can see a cameraman watching the fight who's obviously not supposed to be there. Next, in the movie Jurassic Park, in this scene where 2 raptors enter the kitchen, when it cuts to the next shot, you can actually see a human hand pushing the dinosaur. Apparently a crew member was trying to keep the balance of the model dinosaur, but no one noticed and it slipped through editing and made the final movie. So in Thor: The Dark World, Thor very casually and politely hangs his hammer up on the coat rack, which wasn't in the script and sparked a huge debate online about whether the coat rack is worthy. Now in Harry Potter, Severus Snape tells Harry that he has the eyes of his mother, but the problem with that is his mother has brown eyes and he has blue eyes. And in Jason Bourne, in this scene, he's supposed to disappear into the surrounding city, and at first glance it looks like he does. But if you look closely as this little car passes him, you can see his bright red jacket and his feet try to hide behind it.
Here are some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name. 71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. It's why they can't fly, but they are built for running, and they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
5 crazy shark facts you'll never believe. Number 1, they have teeth all over their body. They're actually called dermal denticles, and some sharks even have teeth over their eyes, such as the whale shark. It's what gives them that sandpaper type of texture. Number 2, some sharks can live a seriously long time. The Greenland shark, for instance, can live for over 500 years. Their flesh is also toxic, and they're the slowest shark on record and almost the same size as the great white. Number 3, they can go on some seriously crazy diets. Basically, the great white shark cannot eat for up to 12 months. They can actually survive off of fatty oil stored inside their body. 4, they can literally sense electricity. That is one of the shark's amazing superpowers, and they can detect electromagnetic fields in the water using a specialized organ called the ampullae of Lorenzini, which are gel-filled pores all around their nose. 5, some sharks have 360-degree vision, or at least the hammerhead shark does. It's pretty crazy, but these guys have eyes that are so far apart, yet they can still create one whole image, which gives them a 360 viewpoint.
And you should follow them because you'll
Creepy facts I bet you didn't know, part 1. Your lips and anus are connected by the same tube. 90% of serial killers choose their victims by sexual desire. Your organs move freely around your body. Crows used to follow armies to feed on dead bodies. Human sacrifice was a real thing in Aztec Mexico.
Easily one of the most shocking creatures in the world. Literally. Meet the electric ray. It's like a regular stingray except with the powers of Thor. They're electrical hunters with no predators and a shock strong enough to knock out a human. But the crazy part is the way they hunt. What they do is they go and swim above their prey and wrap their fins around, creating this tunnel. And then they just start electrocuting with 200 volts from every single direction. And it's not just one shock. They will electrocute their prey up to 500 times in the matter of seconds. And according to scientists, they can unload a kilowatt of energy in one attack. Thor, come get your friends. But the cherry on top is the fact that they can also use their electricity for electroreception, which means you can't hide from them. They can sense the whereabouts of any creature by detecting their electrical pulses. In other words, they're superheroes. Moral of the story, if you're ever in the ocean, I recommend staying away from swimming tasers. And as always, follow for more facts.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 10. Okay, so Hello Kitty was created back in the 1970s by a Chinese woman whose daughter had cancer. The doctors told the mother there was nothing she could do, and her daughter will die. The mother then went to every church and prayed for her daughter, but none of it worked. The mother then became very desperate and turned to devil worshipping and satanic rituals. She then made a pact with the devil himself. But if the devil cured her daughter's cancer, he wanted one thing in return. He wanted her to create a cartoon character to appeal to children all over the world and to trick people into worshipping the devil. And when her daughter recovered from cancer, she kept her promise and created Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty has no mouth because her daughter had mouth cancer. Her pointy ears represent the devil's horns. The word kitty means demon in Chinese, so Hello Kitty actually means hello demon.
There's an active serial killing group in Austin, Texas. I've been seeing videos all over my For You page talking about the Smile murders, and I'm gonna be honest, this is absolutely terrifying. From what I understand, the Smile murders are either a group of people or a singular person leaving this tagline after unaliving someone. This just looks like a normal takeout bag near the lake sitting on a tree, while what was found underneath it is absolutely terrifying. It is, yes, an unalived person near the lakeside. Now, the two craziest parts to me is the target is younger men. The second part is that there's been 12 bodies found since 2022 at Lady Bird Lake, and alone this year there's been already 3. You're probably thinking to yourself, Chris, well, can you go swimming in Lady Bird Lake? Are they drowning? Because that's been the cause of death of most of these people. No, you can't. There's poisonous algae in there, meaning that if you go swimming in there, you're probably cooked. Now, if you don't believe me, this is the timeline in the area that people are found. On top of that, it seems like people are mostly coming from Rainer Street, which from what I've heard and what I understand is the hotspot in Austin, where they have all the bars and it's just like a massive strip. This has been a conspiracy for a long time that there's a group of people unaliving others, but not only in Austin. There's been things in Manchester, there's been things in Boston, but a lot of people are thinking that it's just an organized group, unaliving people and leaving this smiley tagline. Well, and all this is just absolutely terrifying. If you're in the area, stay safe.
This case is exactly why you should not do rugs, y'all. This is the case of Carly Gousset, and I want to say this happened back in 2013. So she actually disappeared on October 13th, and she was a big fan of scary movies and things of that nature, and when she ended up disappearing, she snuck out to go to her boyfriend's house, and during that time, they had taken some type of unknown rug. Now, when she had got back home, she had called her stepmom to come pick her up. She was obviously very paranoid, and her mother recorded her, and there is audio recording that I will attach to the end of this video. Now, during this recording, the stepmom thought that it would be a good idea to do this. I don't know why, instead of take her to the hospital so that the next day she could show her this video and hopefully she won't do these rugs again. Unfortunately, that is not what happened, and according to what I looked into, she ended up, while her parents were asleep, leaving the house and just walking and wandering around the forest and the woods, and she had been spotted that evening, and according to what I looked into, a couple years later she was spotted again by some bikers, but that wasn't 100% certain if it was her. Now, since then she has not been spotted, but the crazy thing is her dad was arrested for DV charges and was charged with those. So according to what I looked into, that is the latest update I have seen on this case, and she has not been seen since then. I just think it's very bizarre that the first thing you're going to do is when you see your child acting paranoid, you're going to record them. I'm going to attach the footage to the end of this.
Do you want to take a shower? If it'll make you feel better? I'm eating the devil's lettuce. You're eating lettuce that I just freshly chopped that I bought from the grocery store. I don't know why. I'm just... Why you would think it's the devil's lettuce? Because I'm just thinking all these demonic stuff and I can't help it. You're okay. You wouldn't call them? Why are you looking at me like that? Well, you just said you wouldn't. Would you call them?
There's a horrific murder case that's happening right now out of Arizona that's still unsolved. Let's talk about what happened to Mercedes Vega. On April 16th of this year, Mercedes was abducted from the parking garage of her Tempe, Arizona apartment and brutally killed. That night, security footage shows her walking into her apartment's parking garage a little after 9 p.m. She was on her way to meet her friends and have a fun night at Dave & Buster's, but in this footage, she had no idea what was about to happen to her. Sometime before making it to her car, she was attacked and taken by at least 2 people, and the details that follow are still a mystery. A little after 1 a.m. the next morning, the Department of Public Safety was called in to investigate a car that was on fire along the side of Interstate 10 in Tonopah. Upon arriving to the scene, they found Mercedes' burned body in the back seat, and she was deceased. In the last few hours of her life, she was tortured, and according to the medical examiner, she had been shot in the arm, had blunt force trauma to her head, and had traces of bleach in her throat. But all of this did not kill her. She ultimately died from smoke inhalation while being burned alive in that car. Investigators also found gloves and bleach in the front seat and lighter fluid in the back, but there are still a ton of questions that remain in this case, and nothing about this makes any sense. The car that Mercedes was found in was not her car. Her car, which was a 2019 Dodge Charger, was found abandoned near Mill Avenue in Tempe. She was not burned in her own vehicle, and so far, investigators still don't know who the car she was found in belongs to. One of the big questions in this case is, how did her car get from her apartment to where it was found? And who drove the other car to Tonopah? Mercedes' parents believe that this was a targeted attack and that death wasn't the ultimate goal, but that Mercedes fought back, which resulted in her death. Her parents mentioned that she danced at a club 2 nights a week, and many question if her death could possibly be connected back to someone she met while at work. It's now been 7 months, and Mercedes' murder is still unsolved. Whoever committed this vicious attack is still out there. Right now, there is a silent witness award of up to $2,000 for information leading to an arrest. But if you'd like to donate to up that reward or to report a tip, please contact the number on the screen. For more information on this case and to show your support, please follow this account that was created for Mercedes that's run by her family. She and her family deserve justice.